After years of searching, I have finally found it. One of the rarest Land Cruisers ever sold in the United States. This model behind me has an option so rare that only around 50 ever left the factory with it. Probably. To be honest, this option is so rare that even after reaching out to Toyota themselves, we were unable to find out exactly how many of these Land Cruisers were made. Over the past few decades, in the United States, the only Land Cruisers available for purchase have either been fully spec'd models with the best engine, interior, and options, or the even more luxurious Lexus LX, which takes all that refinement up to an even higher level. As many of us know, the rest of the world has so many more options when it comes to speccing their Land Cruiser. They can choose between diesel or gasoline engines. Depending on what engine you pick, you can either choose a manual or an automatic transmission. There are different levels of interior trims, and so you can really choose between having a more basic utilitarian workhorse vehicle or a more luxurious rival to something like a Range Rover. The transition in the US Land Cruiser approach is pretty well demonstrated in the predecessor to the 100 series, the 80 series. It started out life in 1991 in a relatively basic utilitarian specification that slowly morphed over the next 6 years into a much more luxurious leather cocoon of off-roading SUV. In 1995, the Land Cruiser was joined in the US by the first generation Lexus LX, the LX 450, which was basically just a fully loaded Land Cruiser that they pasted the Lexus logo onto. But you know what? That's not a bad play if the original design is as handsome as the 80 series. Why try to fix what isn't broken? We all know what happens when you try to do that. Ugh. Why? But by the end of the 80 series, it seemed like the Land Cruiser had found its current form here in the United States. Almost every Land Cruiser sold in the US had big leather seats, almost every option equipped as standard, and the available Lexus LX being sold alongside to the refined customer who would never have their car serviced along something as ghastly as a Prius. Oh. But with the introduction of the 100 series, it continued down the path of the 80, becoming a more refined and luxurious SUV. And that's where we arrive to what makes this Land Cruiser in specific so rare. 98% of all US market 100 series Land Cruisers sold were delivered to customers with either a tan or a gray leather interior. But what you may not have known is that in 1998 and 1999, you could special order from the factory a full cloth interior. To me, this is crazy. Did you know about this? Because I didn't. I learned about these cloth interior Land Cruisers a few years ago, and ever since then, after all my searching, I've only ever seen documentation of less than 10. The cloth interior in the US spec 100 series isn't really like the cloth you'd find in a bare-bones United Nations car. The closest thing I could compare it to is something like a Toyota Century. A nice, luxurious cloth interior that still gives you that premium feel, but is cloth. Almost every cloth 100 series was either sold in the Southwest or Hawaii. And I think if you were ordering a Land Cruiser with a cloth interior, you fell into one of two camps. You A, wanted the cheapest bare bones example you could get, which you could also order it without a sunroof or third row seats. Or B, you liked the cloth interior because of the heat and humidity of your area, and the cloth interior would be better suited to your environment than leather. This 1998 Land Cruiser falls into the second category. It's a one-owner car that left the factory with the full cloth interior and every other option. The third row seating package, the sunroof, the roof rack, the running boards, even the rear differential lock, which was only sold in the 1998 and 99 model year. This car lived its whole life in El Paso, Texas, and the cloth interior carried its owner for over 300,000, hopefully happy miles. I never met the guy, so I'll assume he was happy. 300,000 miles. Cue the guy in the forum saying, "Not even past its break-in period yet." Over all those miles, it's been regularly serviced at the dealership. Even the timing belt was changed less than 4,000 miles ago by the dealer. But after those 25 years of service, the Cloth 100 really has seen better days. It's beginning to look a little used. Not terribly, but it really could use a rejuvenation, as EAG would say. A thorough interior cleaning, replacing a few broken and worn parts, and ultimately making this a time capsule of one of the rarest Land Cruisers ever sold in the United States. Over the next installments, we will cover this rejuvenation process that I have expertly come up with. And hopefully it'll be a mesmerizing before and after. The objective is to make this car feel as warm and as youthful as it once was. And so yes, this 1998 Land Cruiser is one of the rarest Land Cruisers ever sold in the United States. Thank you so much for watching. And if I may be so bold, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you. That video is pretty good. So maybe watch that one. Or that one. That one's good too, but